This is a Honda Civic Type R, and it's not any Honda Civic Type R. This is an FD2R, the Japanese-only, JDM-exclusive version of the late 2000s Honda Civic Type R. Now, we got a version of this car exported to the rest of the world. Us Westerners used to drive them. I bought one. It was called an FN2R. It looks like an egg, a bit like a spaceship. Now, I bought one of these cars near new, and I waited till 2011 to buy it because it wasn't in championship white, or didn't come in championship white until 2011, and they put in LSD in 2011 too, because everyone complained about how crap it was. So yeah, I even bought the good one. And even then, coming out of a DC2 and going into that car, this was over 10 years ago, I've got to say, this car always loomed in my mind as the better option, but we can never have it. Until now. We've got one here, and I've got to say, it is f***ing unbelievable. But before I tell you how f***ing unbelievable it is, let's do the formalities first. Let's have a look under the bonnet, let's have a look in the cabin, let's have a look underneath the car, and then finally, let's go for a drive so I can wax lyrical about how bloody good this Japanese Type R is. Let's go for a drive, guys. I'm really keen for this one. Let's have a look what's under the bonnet of this Honda, and you'll be rest assured that it's not a lawnmower engine, even though they make great lawnmowers, and I've got one at home. What's under here, however, is Honda's K20A. This is a 165 kilowatt, 218 Newton meter version, the highest output in a production car outside of the Mugen RR. So it's the fruitiest K20A. And whilst those power figures don't sound like a lot, it's more how this engine manifests its power up to almost 8800 RPM, and the gearbox it's connected to that makes it special. The rest is quite simple. We've got an airbox, air conditioning compressor up front, very simple engine, spark plugs at the top, quite easy to get to. It's actually quite easy to work on too, which is nice. But yeah, 165 kilowatt and lots of fruit going on here. But to talk about the gearbox and the rest, let's lift the car up on a hoist and have a look underneath it. All right, so what do we have underneath our FD2R? Well, the first thing I noticed too, it is incredible brake ducts. They're almost like sculpted in a way to funnel air into the brakes. It's fantastic to see Honda really care about that sort of stuff, making sure the braking performance in this car is awesome. The other good thing too we have here is this gearbox. What's above me is a 6-speed manual that has a 5.1 final drive. 5.1, that is so short. No wonder this thing accelerates unbelievably. There's also a Torsen LSD in there, a torque sensing limited slip diff that's consistent the whole way and locks up based on torque. It's not a 1.5 way or 2 way, it's a Torsen, torque sensing limited slip diff. So that's what we got here. Independent front end, great suspension, brake ducts, and an LSD. Now let's go over to the back and keep looking at this car. Underneath you can see it's pretty rudimentary here, nothing too exciting going on. And at the back we have independent rear suspension. I love it. I believe the FN2 had a torsion beam at the back as well, whereas this one has independent rear end. Both wheels aren't connected. There's a pseudo split McPherson suspension setup, again pretty rudimentary, but this car does really, really well considering it has pretty regular underpinnings under it. So let's lower it now and jump in the cabin and have a look how much space there is in the car. All right, so what's the cabin of the FD2R Civic Type R like? Well, I'll be honest with you, it's very driver focused. We'll start with these seats first. Unbelievably, they're not Recaro. By this point, Honda had learned how to build their own seat, and they're pretty much modeled off what you'd find in a DC2, the SR3 or whatever it was in the Integra Type R. They're quite deeply bolstered. They've got some nice bolsters here to hold your fat bits. You sort of fit good in them, good shoulder support, nice lateral support on the move. The base, or the seat base, is a bit high, but this is a grocery getter, so you are going to get that. Probably my only complaint. What else is good? I love the ergo, right? The gear shift is right here next to the wheel, sort of in a good spot. No longer on a dashboard, like an EP3, but it makes more sense here, to be honest with you. Got a handbrake here, a nice manual handbrake for some bit of locking action or some motor corner. Got a nice, awesome steering wheel that's about 360 mils in diameter, thin rimmed and perfect for driving. And right in front of you, I love this, the information is split into 2 zones. So you've got this zone down low with a tacho, your temperature and all your mileage and all that basic shit that you don't need. And above it, you've got the party screen where you've got a digital speedo, your fuel gauge so you don't run out of fuel, a VTEC light, which we all want, let's be honest, and a 6-stage shift light that tells you how to get the last 100 RPM out of that gem engine. When you talk about, having visibility on controls and some information fed back to you, this has incredible information fed to you at the right time, at the right place, where you're looking. It just makes sense. Really ergonomic, really clever. What else do we have? Well, we've got a start button here. That's a mechanical start button. I'll show you. You can sort of half crank the engine, or if you hold it, it turns on. I like that it's kind of mechanical. That's kind of fun there. And what else is there? Well, we've got a big storage tray here. It heats the room for your iPhone. You've got a big, another storage, I guess, pit here, which has fold-out cup holders. How good is that? I love a fold-out cup holder. Some area to put some coins. A big armrest. But what is pretty much a really well thought out cabin. Heaps of storage. Also speaks to you in Japanese, I love that. Heaps of storage, heaps of visibility on what you're doing to drive fast. Great controls in the right spot. Overall, it feels like a really sharp driver's car. So let's jump in the back and see if you can bring your kids along for the ride too. All right, the back seat. 2 ISOFIX points for baby seats. I'm 6 foot. Look, you fit, your kids will fit. It's all good in the back. Lastly, how much can we fit in the boot today? Well, let's have a look. We've got a pretty good boot here. Got a boot mat too. Let's see how many single piece cast Japanese wheels we can fit in the back of an FD2R. Amazingly, we have fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wheels in here. There's probably a bit room for a couple more too. This is a variety of 15, 12 and 13-inch wheels. So yeah, there's a lot of space in the back of this. If your wife wants a reason or needs to know why you want to buy the car, just tell her you can fit a pram, a stroller, a scooter, her handbag, maybe a holiday bag, and another child in the boot on your next holiday. There's enough of a reason to have one. All right, let's go find out. The most important thing, what we're here to do today, is this thing any good to drive? All right, guys, we are in the FD2R. First impressions. I love the ergonomics in this car. I love this split speedo. You sort of got the rev counter down low, you've got the speedometer up high with an awesome gauge that's got a VTEC light and what looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 6-stage shift light, just so you can get the extra 100 RPM out of the car. How cool is that? But no, the ergonomics in this car are fantastic. You sit really well. You do sit a bit high in this seat, but the seat is comfortable and well bolstered, so it suits a performance car. I sort of love the steering wheel where it sits just down low, and it's really like the steering is super sharp. But yeah, let's quickly knock it down a couple of gears and show you what it can do. We'll bring it into second. Oh, there's VTEC. Oh my gosh, this engine is incredible. I'm sorry. Wowzers, what an engine. This 160 kilowatt K20 just revs forever. So I'm getting third gear here, I might just tip it through, get on the gas a bit early. I love this car, I really do. Listen to that engine, gotta come on VTEC. Oh my gosh, there's a reason why this car is well loved, and honestly, when you drive it, you sort of feel that connectedness with it. The gearbox is so tight. You've got a 5.1 final drive. Let me repeat that, 5.1. That means this car revs unbelievably. The gearbox is so tight and it just feels so nimble and agile. It's just, oh my gosh, the engine too. It revs to like 9 grand. What more do you want, honestly? Right, we'll give it a bit of a stab through here. We've got that high speed zone, so we can go first, second, third. You actually get to see here how tight the gearbox is and how short the final drive is. And just, yeah, listen to that engine go. We'll try and use the shift light to our best ability and get it shifting right at 8,800 RPM, but we're about to get out of here in a second. Yeah, the one thing about this engine is just how the high compression nature of it, how it revs, the rotating mass is really light. It's got a super light flywheel at the factory, so it just all comes together, but I really want to take off and show you that now. We'll be able to do that in a second, I think. Oh my Lord, listen to it. The acceleration is unbelievable for what is a 160 kilowatt naturally aspirated car. Like, I put it in third gear, you can feel the torque. Like, it feels extremely torquey for what is a 2-litre engine. And it's that 5.1 final drive doing its thing. It's giving the engine so much more legs. It doesn't have a really high top speed, but it doesn't need it because you're not really going to be doing 250 k's an hour in it. So as a result, you get this incredibly punchy, tight driveline that just feels unbelievable. Like, it's just, I've driven a lot of cars in my time. Porsche GT cars, Ferraris, McLarens, you name them all. And honestly, the engine in this car feels exotic. It's incredibly exciting, and it really just tickles your balls like you wouldn't believe, right? I've got a bit of a corner hence, let's get up and get. Oh my Lord, I could spend all day driving this car. Like, the grip is just magic. Well, we'll slow down here a bit, take you up to some good roads and we'll give it another strap. But now look, that's enough about the powertrain. But yeah, K20A, highest output K20A. The highest output K20A of 160 kilowatt linked to the shortest ratio gearbox. And as a result, you get this unbelievably just feels electric. Not electric like an electric car, they suck. I mean electric like it's just instant. It's spicy, it's tingly, it's just got a lot of spark. The driveline has so much character and has so much that stuff that we love, that inherent rightness in the car. You want a performance car that's got a wide power band that just revs forever, tight gearing that just feels like you want to get up it and enjoy it, this is your car. I find this car more exciting than a 911. I find this car more exciting than most Ferraris. And I do on the street because there's something about the way it drives that's just, yeah, it's that connectedness of everything. Just feels right. The short ratio gearbox, how it revs, how it feels, unbelievable. Let's talk about the ride comfort. This one's on stock suspension. It rides really well, to be honest. The Series 1's a bit more bumpy. I believe this car's a Series 2, so it's less bumpy. But this road's quite crappy and it rides quite well. Another thing too, maybe to mention, is the longer wheelbase in this car compared to the other Type Rs that they exported, the FN2, which I had when it was near new with an LSD. I bought a white one in 2011. I waited until they made the good one. But no, the FN2 was a bit fidgety and a bit crap. The EP3 was okay, but it wasn't the best car. This, however, the full fat JDM only one, this FD2 is, yeah, it's incredible. The long wheelbase, everything about it just feels more planted. It's essentially what is, well, I'd say, a race car out of the box. A bit like an i30N in that regard, where it was tuned and built to attack the racetrack first and was a road car second. But the boffins at Honda still managed to weave in enough things to make it feel good on the street, like maybe that tight gearbox and a few other things, the steering. They just got it really good. They've done it a really sensational job and I love it. So look, how about we go back to the shop and wrap up what we think is one of the greatest Type Rs ever built. Let's go back. I say this all the time when I get out of a car because I love driving, but this one was really, really, really exciting. I absolutely love this car. As a former motoring journalist who spent many years driving every exotic car under the sun, I've got to say nothing really excites me like this on the road. This car has the right amount of inherent rightness that we speak of. Great gearbox with the right ratios, an unbelievable engine that's assembled so well, it revs to 8,800 RPM and it feels like it's doing 2,000 RPM, and just suspension calibration that's been thought about by geniuses. This is why you buy this car. This is why it's in my top 5 cars I've ever driven, because I love it to bits. And I've got to say, if you're interested in driving, like I always say, you care about driving, you want to learn how to drive, or you love the nuance of driving, this stuff will give you exotic car flavor for 1/10 of the cost. What an absolute car. Go and drive one and tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm not wrong, trust me.